please put your hands together and welcome Lady Fanny!
Good evening. My name is Lady Fanny, world-renowned etiquette expert and close confidant of the royal family. You may have seen my recent Netflix documentary, 5 Places You Should Never Put a Soup Spoon, or heard my cookery podcast, How to Stuff a Game Bird, in which I took a pretty deep dive into Her Majesty's pantries. As for my equestrian novels, well, my opus is huge, which can happen if you don't ride side saddle. Oh, someone who knows. My association with the royal family goes back decades. I was at prep school with Camilla. Wonderful girl. I used to call her Pissy Knickers. Because she once wet herself during choir practice, reaching for the top C at the climax of Come Thou Long Expected Jesus. I was a clumsy young thing myself back then. Indeed, Camilla's nickname for me was Fanny Fumbles. Because on the very first day of term, I tripped on her lacrosse stick and shot my sherbet right down her pleated skirt. Matron had to sponge her off. In our teens, Camilla and I took summer jobs at the royal stables. We spent idyllic mornings mucking out Princess Anne's horses, and on occasion, mucking out Princess Anne. While our afternoons were spent grooming young fillies, something Prince Andrew was always very keen to assist. When Charles and Camilla began their affair, I played a pretty intimate role from day one. Indeed, when Diana said there were 3 people in her marriage, she obviously hadn't checked under the bed. I couldn't stand Diana myself. Such a drip, always drifting around with that gormless stare. Like a sheep in mourning. Camilla and I were always playing tricks on her, you know. Ringing her up and pretending to be hospitalized homosexuals. And we were up all night creasing that wedding dress. Oh, happy days. Over the years, the bond between Camilla and I has remained strong. I spent lockdown with her and Charles. We stayed in a variety of royal palaces. In fact, at the height of the pandemic, the Queen gave special permission for her son to take me up the tower. I must say, when he finally pulled out the crown jewels, I had tears in my eyes. My own marriage has, by comparison, been somewhat tragic. I reside in the in the main house of our Norfolk estate, with my long-haired Siamese, Queen Isabella, whilst Lord Stanley lives in the gatehouse with Paolo, a 24-year-old Brazilian physiotherapist. You see, Lord Stanley suffered a devastating riding accident in his youth. Cantering cross-country, he was startled by a randy badger, fell off the horse, and got his leg wedged in a cow's rectum. Now, every evening during the arches, Paolo uses Swedish techniques to stimulate my husband from the waist down. I, however, remain in peak physical condition. I've always had the legs of a ballerina, the hips of a Boy Scout, and the bosom of a lactating belly dancer. But that's what a diet of haggis and hot bovril does for a girl. Of course, Camilla has remained a constant source of support through my marital woes. Her official duties keep her in London a great deal, but she'll dash back to Norfolk whenever she can to bury her head in my bit of country. And Queen Isabella adores her. She only has to get a whiff of Camilla's Shalimar through the letterbox, and my pussy's rubbing up against the draft excluder. And of course, my royal insight has seen me much in demand in the Jubilee year. I was recently asked to appear on BBC Breakfast. Naga Munchetti practically begged me. She said she'd always wanted to probe an open and unguarded Fanny live on breakfast television. We spoke of my pivotal role at this year's Chelsea Flower Show. Claire Balding and I were given special permission to soil Her Majesty's beds at the opening ceremony. At noon, to the sound of gunfire, Claire Balding exposed her dirt patch to the Queen and residents of a local care home. I presented Camilla with a diamond-studded hoe for personal use, and Alan Titchmarsh pricked out and spread fresh seed over Claire's dirty hole as the red arrows flew overhead. It was very moving. And so, on that horticultural highlight, I'd like to end on a song. It was the Queen Mother's favourite. She often sung it at family funerals. I only hope I can bring to it the poignancy that she did. When you're ready, Paolo. Down the road there lives a man I'd like you all to know. He grew a great big marrow for the local flower show. When the story got around, they came from far and wide. And when the people saw the marrow, everybody cried. Oh, what a beauty! I've never seen one as big as that before. Oh, what a beauty! It must be 2 foot long or even more. It's such a lovely colour and nice and round and fat. I never knew a marrow could grow as big as that. Oh, what a beauty! dame, and beckoned to the queen herself, who'd just come down to stay. He took her up the garden path and showed it her with pride. And when she saw the size of it, the little lady sighed. Oh, what a beauty! I've never seen one as big as that before. Oh, what a beauty! Oh, it must be 2 foot long or even more. Sing it with me. It's such a lovely colour, nice and round and fat. I never knew a marrow could grow as big as that. Oh, what a beauty! I've never seen one as big as that before. I mean the marrow, I've never seen one as big as that before.